and this crisis of confidence ongoing with Boeing right now.
Yeah, and interestingly, it seems that the U.S. is the last major country, major economy standing in the face of this growing pile of pressure from countries across Asia, across the EU, and a handful in the Middle East, as well as Latin America here. Let's go ahead and show this graphic that we have of what exactly is happening around the world when it comes to nations, governments here halting MAX flights, the 737 MAX flights. Those are in red, and you can see that for China, Australia, India, Indonesia, Singapore, and now most recently New Zealand, all of these governments are saying that they will stop flights until they figure out what exactly, if anything, is going on, or if anything is even linked to what's been happening 5 months ago with Indonesia's Lion Air. Now, take a look at the countries in yellow. Those are countries where airline carriers themselves have decided to ground their flights. That includes Mongolia in Asia, Ethiopia, South Africa, Morocco, Mexico's Aeromexico, Argentina, as well as Gol Air in Brazil. Also in the past few hours, Iceland Air weighing in as well. So we're seeing across this map, really, countries and carriers light up pretty much across the board. Tomorrow, we're looking ahead to Canada because they're going to be holding a press conference in about 14 hours' time or so to talk specifically about this. In addition, just crossing the Bloomberg terminal a few minutes ago, India's SpiceJet also saying that it is suspending its Boeing 737 MAX operations. Off of all this, no surprise, let's take a look at the share price as well, because we can see that falling over just the past 2 days of trade for this week. Not only that, I've extended that for the past 7 days, down 13%. Austin market cap of $37 billion over the past 7 days. Over the past 2 days, that was $24 billion. A couple of superlatives here. The past 2 days, their worst 2-day fall in nearly a decade. And in terms of their worst 7-day fall in the past 3 months, ever since December 26th.
Rami, where do we go from here in terms of policies and also the ongoing investigation? Sure.
In terms of the investigation, the flight recorders have already been found. So the probe is going to try to figure out exactly what happened here. Of course, the sentiment or the thought here, speculation, is that is there a link with what happened 5 months ago with Indonesia's Lion Air crash? That, of course, had to deal with an anti-stall function that dipped the nose of the plane down. At that time, those pilots didn't know how to correct, and we know what happened there. Was that actually the case here? So far, the FAA is saying that there is no evidence so far linking the two, saying that there's anything similar. Of note, though, we have been seeing a lot of policy support come from the United States. In particular, of course, the FAA saying the word, quote, airworthiness. Boeing itself, no surprise there, saying that they have full confidence in the 737 MAX safety. One wild card, as often the case, is Donald Trump, the president himself. Let's go ahead and show these tweets that he did earlier today. He says, of note, airplanes are becoming far too complex to fly. Pilots no longer needed. They're scientists from MIT. Flip up the board and compares that to a pilot being someone like Albert Einstein. You don't that, he says, you actually want someone who can actually fly these planes, and he wishes that he could harken back to an earlier time when things were a little bit more simple. But looking ahead, we do also see there have been some headlines crossing with Donald Trump talking to Boeing CEO Dennis Muilenburg. No surprise there that Mr. Muilenburg also saying that everything is airworthy and that the MAX aircraft is, quote unquote, safe. Of course, we're seeing that FAA support. We're going to see what happens tomorrow in trading to see if that also supports the share price. But right now, of course, as I've been saying, down 13% over the past few days. And in terms of the past two days here, down $24 billion for its market cap.